Welcome back to the Sports Business Take Podcast, your home for sports industry news with a little personality. I'm Paul Hine. He is Zach Creekmore. How you doing today, Zach?
I'm doing good, Paul. How you doing, brother?
I'm great, man. I feel fresh haircut, beard's gone. I needed a whole new start. I got a lot of things going on actually. This week I'm trying to work on building basically my own business for the first time. I'm gonna start over the summer doing photography and videography as like a freelancer. So I'm trying to build out like my own business and figure out how that's going to work. I mean, I need to make some money over the summer, and I took an unpaid internship, so I figured that would be a good way to get experience and make money at the same time, right?
Absolutely.
And I'll be able to do hopefully a variety of different clients. I've reached out to a couple people already, so I have a couple ideas. But I'm really excited about that. And then, I mean, you know about the other stuff with where my future could end up. I'm not going to reveal it right now until it's like officially done, official. But I'm having a relatively boring spring break. I'm here at home, but you're flying down to Tampa, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
Where are you going?
USL Academy Cup. A little
sun, you're working down
tan.
There. Okay. Okay, I thought you were vacationing down there. You're working down there?
It's half vacation, half work.
Okay.
So I go down early Sunday to Wednesday, and I get to kind of vacay out. And then Wednesday to Sunday, we've got 6 teams. I'm the only photographer. I'm the media guy. It's going to be great.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
And we're going to run it.
Working 16, 18-hour days again?
Yeah, all day, dude.
Damn.
All day, on the grind.
Yeah. Are you just working for AC or are you working for the whole tournament?
Just for AC.
Okay.
Whole tournament's a bit.
Yeah. Super cool opportunity though.
Social media team, they have a lot more people on staff.
Yeah, right.
We still do a better job, but
hey, okay, I see you. I love it. Promote yourself.
Talking
right?
Shit.
Yeah. Talk your shit. Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's a really cool opportunity. I think we found out about a really cool opportunity last time we had last episode we had Eric Bestel. He told us that we could come down to the office over the summer, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. So that's something that I think I want to take advantage of.
Absolutely.
When we can.
Little New York trip, stop by in Jersey.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. Dude, I haven't been in New York since I was like 12, so
You're kidding.
No, seriously. So that'll be
it's changed a lot. That's all I can say.
Probably, yeah.
Post-COVID New York's big time different than pre-COVID.
I'm sure. Yeah, post-COVID Boston is way different. So yeah, definitely that would make sense. All right, let's jump into our topic of the day. So we're talking all about college basketball today, which is kind of nice because we were talking about college football a lot a couple episodes ago, so we get to see kind of the other major side of college sports here. And I think this particular part of it is super interesting. I mean, obviously March Madness is coming up, so huge college basketball time of the year in general. But separate from March Madness, the I don't know if the NCAA is sponsoring this or if it's being sponsored by the collectives themselves, but there's a new college basketball NIL tournament that is being created at the beginning of November for this year for this upcoming year and for 2025 as like the start years. And it's called the Players Era Tournament. So it's a non-conference tournament and it offers up to $2 million in NIL deals per team. So it's an 8-team event, and it's expanding to 16 in 2025. It'll pay out $1 million to each team, which would be shared with the school's collective, meaning like the people who have the NIL money to distribute to the athletes or the athletic department, and then up to an additional $1 million if you win the whole thing. So, first reaction to this?
Wow, I think it's awesome. It reminds me of kind of how the NBA did its early season tournament.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
When you look at the college basketball schedule, you kind of go and you say, okay, we start in October. We've got a bunch of quote-unquote important games to make our record cool, and then we've got March Madness, right? And March Madness really slaps hard, right? And it goes hard. It's what it is. It's the big thing for the college basketball season. But the build-up to it might not be as big, right? I think a lot of times both the in-conference tournaments feel a bit shadowed out by March Madness to some extent. I know
Oh,
I felt a little bit
absolutely.
that way. So offering something that incentivizes in a different way and might offer something where it's like the best performing teams from the previous year get to compete in this, I think becomes a really interesting thing and a really interesting thing generationally creating talent and kind of incentivizing overall doing well. But it is super cool. The NIL aspect of it is awesome. I can't wait to talk about that. Um, and yeah, obviously we all love college sports. We want more college sports, and this is what
Yeah.
that's what it gives,
Yeah,
right?
it's more content.
Right.
Yeah, no, I really love this idea. I'm surprised honestly that the amount of money like is this low. Is that just me? Like I thought $1 to $2 million like wouldn't make a really big difference for a lot of teams to join. But then I saw the list of some of the teams that are thinking about joining and I'm like, oh really? That's like incentivizing them to
Mm.
join this? I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, great statement there. I think right, the money might seem low, but also $2 million is a lot of money. We're not
Yeah, I
trying
mean
to
$2 million is two
right.
million dollars,
two
but
million
like
dollars split amongst 20 people isn't a lot of money.
yeah, right. And that and like to Division 1 athletic
Right.
programs who
Right.
bring in specifically SEC programs who bring in hundreds of millions of dollars. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right there. But also say there isn't another type of tournament that incentivizes them participating in sport like this to an
True.
extent where it's kind of similar to a pay to play model, where you're saying basically like the World Cup style, from you winning, you get this much money, right?
Yeah.
In NCAA's and all of the other tournaments, it's not a financial based incentive. It's just a glory based incentive, and financial based incentives come with it because you get better media, better fan attendance, probably better purchases of your goods and your merchandise, but and probably a bit more ticket sales. But you
Yep.
don't really directly get a prize for winning. So it is totally different from how the college model usually works, which is super cool. And the way that they're using NIL to do it is awesome. Um,
I
and
agree.
but I will say, like, again, it's $2 million. It's a lot of money, and when it's not introduced to college sports, not offered to college sports in that way previously, especially with it being its first year in introduction, it is a huge statement, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I bet that $2 million is going to go up over time if this succeeds. Like, oh yeah, it'll increase as more teams start to join it. It's going to be held in Vegas, which I think is pretty cool. Like, that's if you're going to start somewhere to have like a tournament, I think that's a cool city to do it in
Mm,
because it is that touristy attraction type of deal for college basketball, and people who are maybe visiting Vegas at the time will think, "Oh, this is a cool event that's happening. Maybe I'm going to go check this out." Right. So I think that's an interesting place to hold it. So I wanted to ask you, as one of the first things we're going to talk about, will schools buy into this idea and join? It basically incentivizing.
yes, I do think schools will buy into this, especially because if you're a school and you do not want the best for your athletes or the most opportunity for your athletes, I think it is truly kind of the wrong thought process, right? You want to support them, you want to offer them the opportunity, you want to go and you want to compete to the highest level and to the highest ability. And this offers you a way to do that very early in the season. Um, right? College basketball, again, it's a long season. You're going from October, November to March. And for D1 programs, probably you're playing sooner, but just not competing sooner. So it is a long season. That's 3, 4, 5 months. And it is a lot of time. So making sure that you now have an incentive to compete early, you have a middle ground where you can kind of reset and then you go again. I think it just offers another focus. I think you'll see some teams who are big competitors and really want to focus on NCAA's drop out of it and say I'm not going to participate. Kind of going back to swimming. Swimming, you often have a mid-season tournament and then your end-of-season tournament, which means you're in taper for a long amount of time. But a lot of teams, I know my team specifically at St. Joe's, we opt out of that and we choose solely to focus on our conference championships because it offers us that
Yeah.
opportunity to not have as much time in taper. Um,
Are you
Now,
guys only
basketball,
restricted to one non-conference tournament?
I have no idea, but we don't do any non-conference tournaments. So
Okay. Well, I'm just asking because the restriction for Division One for basketball is teams can only participate in one non-conference tournament, and there's a lot of schools that are already committed to non-conference tournaments. So that seems to be like the major roadblock for teams joining this particular tournament. They would have to drop out of the ones that they're currently in and then join this NIL one. But I think they will do it because if you think about it, it's free money
Yeah.
essentially, right? I mean, you're basically gaining $1 million guaranteed that you're going to be able to put into your NIL program. Which I mean, maybe that's not a lot to distribute among your, 20 kids in your basketball program, but it's enough that it makes a difference for each person for sure, right? It's enough that you can help get them maybe one extra deal per person, or maybe get like half of your team a deal or something right like that, right? And then you win the whole thing, you get another $1 million, and that helps you even more. You know what I mean? So when I said incentivizing, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you are winning as an incentive to get money. You know what I mean? So it's like it's building on the concept of incentivizing is essentially what I meant. But and I know I didn't say it well the first time, so
No, I got
so
where you're going. You're good.
I had to explain it. But yeah, no, I really think schools will want to take advantage of this because it's like, why wouldn't you? Unless you really can't get out of your commitment to your non-conference tournament that you're already in, why wouldn't you want to take the advantage or the opportunity to gain more to put towards your program, and that takes stress off your coaches, that takes stress off your athletic department staff, that takes stress off your collective, it takes stress off your players, right? And it's just an easy way to say, hey, this is a win-win situation and we're going to take advantage of it.
No, great point, and very true. I think the only reason I see teams not trying to opt into this or not trying to be one of the 8 teams in it is if they've already committed to something and they can't get out of it, and two, if their ethics or ethos or their coach's focus is put somewhere else, kind of similar to where we are at St. Joe's with swimming. We want to be able to focus on that conference championships, and we want to be able to build. But
Right.
the way it's placed in the very beginning of the season, I don't think it hurts to go and say we're going to go do this. We're going to compete at a high level, compete for a lot of things. Not burn out early, but kind of test the waters and see where we're at, and
Yeah.
then go and really, really attack the rest of the season. So I think placing it in November is really smart, and I think the only reason coaches or not franchises, oh my gosh, no, schools would opt out of this is if they don't see that financial incentive as worth it, and two, if they have that overcommitment, and then three, if the coaching style or coaching mentality is put in a different place.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point about coaching style. So it's interesting how much NIL has changed the way college coaches view their job, right? I remember Nick Saban basically just said he retired because the only two things his players were focusing on were NIL money and like the transfer portal. Like, who are we getting? So I'm not sure about the second one. I don't want to like misquote him, but I remember one of them was specifically NIL. He was like it's just not, coaching isn't what it used to be. You know what I mean? So NIL has changed the whole landscape. And he said it must be hard to get guys to care about the winning, the tradition as much as it used to be when they're being just thrown these huge sums of money and saying, hey, like, come to our school for this amount, or you can go to there for, less. It
Right.
must be really hard as a coach to get them to care about the tradition of the program and buying into the ethics of it, or not the ethics, the values of the program, and you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
the whole coaching landscape in college has changed, and I think that's an interesting part of a school's decision, like you said, to join this or to not join.
Well, absolutely right. NIL has totally changed the playing landscape where there are financial incentives, and where you go isn't just based on I want to be part of the best program. You're going to go to a place where you might be a star and you might get more money, right? Or you're going to go to a place where you might be more valued, which you might pick anyway, but there's more incentive to it. Where previously Nick Saban and Alabama specifically had a very, very strong dominance on the college recruitment game because everyone
Yeah,
wanted to go to Bama. They wanted to be part of Bama.
they
They
had a
wanted to be part
culture. That's the word I was looking
they
for.
had Exactly. They had an iconic culture of competition and winning that everyone wanted to be a part of because
Yeah,
Bama players went to the NFL and they did great things, right? And
which
Nick
is still
Saban was a
true.
great guy to learn from, which is still true, right? But the college landscape has totally changed where there's now more pieces involved with it than there were before. So we're looking at a totally different picture, right? It's not just about Nick Saban, football, culture, Bama, hell yeah. No,
Right.
it's NIL. Oh, is this the right place for me academically, right? Is this the right place for me for football wise? Am I going to get the right amount of game time? Can I get the fan and the viewership that I would get at, for example, I don't know, a smaller school, right? A Merrimack,
Yeah.
right? Maybe not, right? So there's
That's
different
the other thing is,
expectations, and the recruitment is totally different.
yeah, recruiting is so different because people almost want like guaranteed play time now and don't like want to have to work for it. They want to come in and start. And that's really hard because I think being offered money completely changes that work ethic a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not saying that those kids don't work hard. Of course they do. They work full time jobs on top of going to school, which is insane. But if I'm a senior in high school who's getting recruited by, let's call it basketball. Let's since we're talking about basketball, let's
Oh
stay
yeah,
in
yeah,
basketball. Let's say I'm getting recruited by Duke,
yeah.
right? And Duke says, "Hey, we're going to offer you maybe a smaller amount of money, but you get to be part of this historic program and under some of the best coaches with some of the best players and the best exposure to NBA scouts and all this stuff, right?"
Mm,
And then I get a package from, let's say, a smaller school like St. Mary's, and they say, "You're going to start your freshman year and we're going to offer you way more in NIL money than Duke is going to," which probably wouldn't be the case, but let's hypothetically, right? I'm gonna choose the one where I'm starting and where I'm making more money. So
right.
it completely changes the idea of recruiting in general, and then it changes the coaching strategies of
Mm,
how do we get players here. And those coaches who have relied on the tradition of their programs and the glamour that comes around, let's say, being a Duke basketball player, don't necessarily have as much advantage in recruiting as they used to.
correct. They simply don't, right? It's like you're trying to recruit professional players, right?
Yeah,
There is different incentives, right? The land, as we said, the landscape has totally changed. You're looking at Duke basketball, St. Mary's. I honestly, I love me some good St. Mary's. I probably would go St. Mary's if I was a. That's just me personally, emotionally. I love me a good Saint Catholic school, but there's a lot more pieces to it than it used to be, right? Like
yeah, for sure.
it has totally changed the world, and it will continue to change as we develop into it. And I think this tournament is another way that it is changing, right? The
Absolutely.
landscape is changing again. And as we said, this is a 15-year type of thing where we won't see the end of NIL, and it's going to continue developing, continue evolving. It's going to be constant and continuous. And I think companies and businesses are going to continue to buy into it more and more and more, just because athletics is such a huge part of our society and has such
Oh man,
huge social buy-in. It's
we could
insane.
talk about that for hours,
Oh,
literally.
absolutely, we can. We could go into the whys and the hows and
Yeah.
going back to ancient Rome and Greece
Oh
and the
yeah.
Olympics and the Colosseum and why it exists. But that gets political and social societal real quick, so we won't go there. I'm hearing Dr. Jake Tebow in my head, um, but
um.
it's a
But,
changed landscape. It's different.
oh, for sure. And I think a lot of the big programs are starting to realize, hey, we need to take advantage of the landscape changing. So I just wanted to mention a few of the programs that could be potential participants in the tournament. So Alabama, Duke, like we were just talking about, Florida Atlantic University, Houston, Kansas, Oregon, Rutgers, San Diego State, St. John's, Syracuse, and Virginia are all on that list of potential participants. So those are some huge names in basketball. You know, Alabama has been dominant recently. Duke obviously is, I mean, maybe the biggest name in basketball. Houston has been very good recently. Kansas is really good traditionally. San Diego State has had good years recently. I mean, St. John's has pretty good teams. Like, these are some big names that are deciding that they want to be interested in this. And I was kind of surprised because I thought, wow, they really want the extra $2 million. And I was like, that makes a difference for those type of schools. But I think maybe they see the potential for it to grow. You know what I mean? In the future, from it to this is where the starting point is, and once the fan interest is there, then it's going to grow to a point where maybe they get a major network deal, and then that influences the tournament going forward.
Correct. The biggest thing for me is, and we talked about it in our interview a ton last week, the power of being an early adopter, right?
Yeah.
You dive into something like this quickly, and holy moly, the landscape is huge for you because you're immediately the first person in it. And once you're
Yeah.
in it, it's hard to get you out of it, right?
For sure.
So I really think that these schools who are the top teams want to be innovative, and I think basketball is like a hugely innovative sport as we talk about the NBA and the WNBA and the awesome stuff they do, the awesome stuff that's been done with college basketball, right? They want to be that early adopter, that early innovator who goes and says, we want to be a part of this, and we want to be a part of this change because it's better for our program. The $2 million, a school like Duke doesn't care about, right?
Yeah, no.
Right? Cooper Flag, right? That's the commitment from Maine, right?
Yeah.
He's probably
number one player in the country.
$1 million in NIL deals, right?
Yeah.
$2 million is nothing to a program like that, to a school like that is a private institution and has tons of students and has tons of student supply, right?
It's about the exposure too.
It's about the exposure. It's about the interest. It's about the innovation. It's about it being a developing thing, and it's about being that early adopter. If we are the first one in the door, well, now you can't kick us out of the room. I founded this shit, right?
Yeah, right.
I founded this club. You can't get me out of it.
Right.
Think
the
what's his name? Bruce Wayne, right? Batman. The young Batman walks into the club. People are telling him to leave. He goes and says, "What do you mean? I own this club. Get out."
Like, yeah, right.
He's 12. Right. He went and wrote a check 5 minutes ago. But he was the first one in the room, right?
Yeah.
Duke wants to be that. Houston wants to be that. Houston especially I believe they've been number one at times this year. I don't know where they are right now. I don't follow basketball largely, but they want to establish a historic program and they want to do it linearly. And this is an option to do that, right? This is another way to say we are getting exposure and saying we are the best. We want to continue to be the best.
I think this leads,
that option is a way to do that.
I think this leads perfectly into my last question about this is this a tournament that could create positive marketing for college hoops, similar to how the NBA in-season tournament has created positive marketing for them?
Yeah, and totally. It absolutely is. And we've kind of talked about it throughout where we started with the in-season tournament. We've talked about just marketing, being an early adopter, the power that it is to you, right? When you think about marketing, the earlier you're in the door, the easier it is to break into the industry. The first person to post something really cool and then everybody follows it. Wow. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the marketing power that this type of thing has, right? You want to be that early adopter. You want to be that guy.
It's new, it's unique, it's flashy, it's eye catching, right? And that's what you want for your product is how can we provide new ways to make the same product interesting. So I think this will be really huge for college basketball in terms of getting maybe a new type of product out there for them, and it'll be beneficial for the schools. So there's no reason they won't want to do it. So let's stay in college basketball, but move away from the men's side. Let's talk about the women's side of college basketball a little bit. I mean, can we just mention how amazing is Caitlin Clark recently, man? I mean, wow, right? She's broken several long-standing college basketball records recently, including the all-time scoring record for both men's and women's. I mean, that's crazy. You're talking about you can argue that she's the greatest college basketball player of all time. Like, and that's not a serious argument. That's like she is really, really separating herself from a lot of her predecessors who have been greats in the women's game, and even in the men's game. I mean, she broke their record too. So she broke the 3-point record, I believe, a couple days ago as well, or the 3-point made record. I mean, man, like She's been doing some crazy things this season. Nike basically put together a montage to honor her. I mean, she's on top of the college basketball world right now. And she just announced for the WNBA draft is projected to be the number one overall pick. But the reason we're talking about it is because that number one overall projection has already influenced WNBA ticket sales, which is nuts. When was the last time, I want to ask you this, can you remember the last time a college athlete influenced ticket sales before they even got drafted?
Oh,
Like, I don't remember.
I don't know, but like the best
The
guess for me would be like LeBron James, but
the earliest, well, no, LeBron James didn't play in college.
he didn't, correct,
He got drafted out of high
it
school.
becomes
I the best example I can think of is maybe Tim Tebow.
that's a good take, yeah.
Maybe Tim Tebow is like the last person that I can think of that really had this much hype around them before even getting drafted. And to be able to affect ticket sales to the tune of the average ticket price for the Indiana Fever, who have the number one overall pick, has doubled. Doubled.
That's huge.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's double just because they have the number one overall pick and people want to go see Caitlin Clark next season, right? She has that much star power that before even getting drafted, it's already assumed that she's on this team, and those fans are saying, "Man, I want to go see her," you know. And like Iowa and Indiana geographically not too far away, so it makes somewhat sense. But it didn't matter what school she goes to because she has that huge star power where, I mean, it's almost like the MJ effect. Anywhere she goes, it'll be it's all about her. You know what I mean? In the best way possible. And it's really come through in the viewership. The viewership numbers have been nuts.
Absolutely, right. The viewership numbers have been huge. If we pull up direct numbers, 3.39 million viewers averaged, peaked at 4.42, which is the highest ever for women's basketball, specifically on Fox.
That's the game she broke the record.
Right. But we're talking about a meteoric player. She is like a meteor hitting the WNBA, right?
Yeah.
She is flying right now. She is on fire. And she is just an icon, right? And that's
electric.
Right. She's going to have these records for years to come. And it's a statement of when she goes in the WNBA, I think it's going to bring a similar viewership to the WNBA. And I hope it does because the WNBA deserves that growth. And we want to see that growth for more than just the Indiana Fever for the rest of the league, right? But I will say it is a meteoric rise. It is amazing, awesome to see, great to see. And obviously, it coming around March Madness is exactly what you want to see.
Perfect timing, right?
Perfect timing. It brings the right energy. How Iowa goes and does in this tournament is going to be huge, right?
Yeah.
And if Caitlin Clark continues to do awesome stuff, which she will, and if Nike continues to push her the way that they are, we can see something where you're looking at a Serena Williams type figure, right?
Oh, absolutely.
When I think women's sports, I think Serena Williams is probably one of the most
one of the first people that comes to your head.
Right? But influential figure. She is iconic. She stands out.
Exactly.
Right? She is that Nike athlete, and when you think Nike, you think Serena Williams.
Yeah,
and I think Caitlin Clark can be that.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the fact that it's leading right into March Madness. The Big Ten announced that its upcoming postseason women's basketball tournament, not even part of March Madness, right? Like just the Big Ten tournament is sold out for the first time in history of the Big Ten. The women's tournament is sold out, which is crazy because it's not even a part of March Madness, right? That's before March Madness. Like that is nuts. And it's because of her. It's because of the amazing things that she's able to do. I mean, like seeing her hit shots from almost half court with like no effort. I'm like, who doesn't want to pay to see that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Who doesn't want to pay to see it? Who doesn't want to be part of iconic moments, right? Why we love sports so much and why sports are so important to so many people is because it is the iconic memories that this creates. And I would love to see kind of like what percentages of the ticket sales are and who's buying what and like based on demographics, just kind of see who's interested in it and how that might carry over the WNBA interest.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is super interesting.
Yeah,
And it
definitely.
will carry throughout. And it's exactly what we want to see in terms of growth for women's sport. And we talked about it with the NWSL and the new USL Super League and the WNBA. We've all talked about all these leagues. Women's sports right now has the highest percentage of growth and turnover in the next 5-10 years, guaranteed. I
Oh
guarantee,
yeah,
right? No,
yeah,
no questions asked. That is where we are leading. That's where it's going,
for
and it
sure.
makes me ecstatic because I
And
love to see that.
she could be a big part of that, right? Um,
Huge part of that. Huge part of that. Right?
I think even professional teams recognize it. So the Indiana Fever is owned by the Pacers, and obviously we had Dan Vance on here, so I wonder what his thoughts on that would be. I think that would be interesting because
Absolutely.
I'm sure he knows people over there, or does some social media stuff for them too. So that would be interesting to see what he thinks about this whole phenomenon. But a quote from Pacers Sports and Entertainment. We've seen a lot of enthusiasm online and on social media. The organization has also seen the enthusiasm lead to a spike in ticket inquiries, which is clear because the ticket prices doubled. And they said that to the Associated Press. But I mean, the fact that even they recognize like she's such a great player that we need to like preemptively market her because everybody knows we're already going to draft her, right? It's like a foregone conclusion, which, like I said, that's such an uncommon thing in college sports. The last time I can think of it was Tim Tebow, and that was 10 plus years ago. So, I mean, it's been a while since we've had this influential of a figure in college sports.
No, very true. And I think in terms of basketball, it kind of reminds me, and I was thinking Indiana a little bit, reminds me of when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came back into the NBA in the 70s or the
Mm-hmm.
80s, whatever it was. Right? We've watched the documentary, and you go and you see it. They re they rejuvenated and revolutionized that league, making it kind of what it is today. Right? And I
Yeah,
think Caitlin Clark can have that Larry Bird type of influence.
I like
Right?
that take. I like
And she
that take
has
as a
that type of
Boston guy.
energy. I see her on the court and I think, I see a little bit of Larry in this,
I
right?
like that take as a Boston guy. I love it.
I love me some Larry Bird. He's from Indiana. He brings that energy. He's a great trash talker. I made an argument for him to be the GOAT in my sports statistics class. It was fun.
Oh,
It was
okay.
a crazy argument, but
We're getting some views on this clip. I'm telling you right now.
we're getting some. Zach thinks Larry Bird's the GOAT, which is crazy statement. But you look at the data. There's data to support it, okay? But going back to Caitlin Clark, right? She has that energy. She has that oomph, that vivra, that passion. There's something about it that people want to watch, right?
Yeah,
There's something about it, like Leo Messi when he joined the MLS. There's something about it
yeah,
that
for
people want
sure.
to watch, right? And she can bring that.
It's the main attraction.
Exactly, right? But she also doesn't seem so cocky and overconfident that she hurts the rest of the team, right?
Yeah, for sure.
She carries herself in a respectful way as a leader, as someone who wants to see the team succeed and is willing to do her part to do that, right? But she is more, right? And she knows that, but it doesn't come across as she is too much. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, those are
I
the
don't
best, right? Those are the best
exactly.
types of athletes.
I don't like players who are going to walk in the room and tell you I'm the shit and you better know I'm the shit.
Right.
But I like the type of player who knows that, but still has the humility to go and say, I'm here to be part of the team and I'm here to represent. Right. And you just
Yeah.
kind of carry that. And that's the type of leader we need in sport, the type of leader we need in women's sports, especially as we try to create as their to use it again, meteoric rise continues. Right. That's what we
Yeah.
want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just huge shout out to her. She's literally changing the landscape of how we think about um, women's college basketball players, really.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the fact that she can have that big of an impact is the only reason. I mean, it's the reason why we're talking about it, right? I mean, just a monumental figure, and super excited to see what she does in the future.
Amen.
But I want to move on to our sports quote of the weeks. So mine. So this is Los Angeles Dodgers manager Dave Roberts on Mookie Betts playing shortstop for the Dodgers full time, which, by the way, he hasn't done since low single A. And I went to see him play shortstop in his low single A team because their park, which is now shut down because of the they got rid of some of the minor league teams during COVID.
Mm.
But I saw him play in that minor league park in like 2012, and I was like 8. It was like 20 minutes from my house. It was awesome. I even remember at the time thinking like, man, this kid is good. Like he is really good. And it's funny, I actually got to play in the same park when I was like 15 or 16 in a tournament, which was really fun. But the fact that Mookie hasn't played shortstop since 2012, basically, he played a couple
Years.
games there in his major league career, but like very much like a fill-in role, not like a everyday type of thing. But now he is going to be their starting shortstop for the Dodgers, and he hasn't done this in years. And Dave Roberts called it permanent for now, which which I thought was hilarious, right? I think just saying anything is permanent, but not really, is pretty funny. Um, but in general, I think I want to apply this to your career where you have to stay hungry, right?
Mm.
Because you may think once you get that job, it's permanent, but if you don't do a good job, if you don't bring your passion every day, if you don't work hard, people are going to notice that, and then it may not be permanent, So you really have to keep that drive with you every day, even once you reach your dream job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even to add on to that, right? We're not saying Mookie Betts did a bad job at whatever his previous position was.
No, this is a great opportunity.
This
He's
is a
so
huge
versatile
opportunity
for
for
us.
him to go back to something that he did at the start of his career that is saying, I can still show up and do this, right? And say, there is no shame for me. I go from social media director all the way to GM. And as a GM, we have an absence of social media director. No reason I can't help fill that role in the gap, right? Although I
Yeah.
have other responsibilities, there's no reason I can't take that responsibility.
Yeah, right.
Say I want to represent our team and help our team out.
It's
Right?
being willing to do any job, right?
It's being able to do any job, but also being able to say, I know where I came from, I know where my skill sets are, and I don't mind going back to that place and working hard.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's humility, right? It's humility. It's
It
not
is.
like it's Mookie not being he's not walking up to his coach and saying, I ain't playing shortstop. I ain't doing it in 12 years. No, he's not saying that.
Right.
I don't think that's what Mookie Betts sounds like at all, but that was just a
No, probably not, but it's okay.
so ignore that weird whatever I did.
That'll be a good clip. Don't worry about it.
But right, for me in college sports, I've played literally every position, right?
Yeah.
And you can't go into that with fear, right? You transition, you move, you have to learn a new skill, you have to try something new. I had to learn to play center back this year. I'd never played center back in a full game, right? It's a totally different experience.
But you're trying to be a Swiss Army knife, right? You're trying to be able to do whatever.
I love being a Swiss Army
you.
knife, right?
Yeah.
You want to be the guy that they can go to and say, "Hey, Zach, we're missing something here. Can you help us out?" And you can say,
Right.
"Yeah," right? And you can say, "Yeah, I take ownership of that. I'm that guy." Right?
Right.
You want to be the doer. Working in sports, we are a industry of doers, right?
Yeah.
High energy,
sure.
type A people. You get the job done. That's what you want to be. And sometimes it requires you to go back to something you did before and say,
Yeah,
"Hey,
for sure.
I can go and take this and I can do it again." And I can do it better than I did last time because I've gotten better overall.
Yeah, we're talking about like being willing to do basically any job that's necessary, right? And it reminds me of at the Sea Dogs, we would do trash cleanup a couple times a game. Everybody would go up and down the aisle with a trash bag to have fans give us their trash, just help our maintenance staff out, but also help them out, right? And have their areas not be cluttered and whatever. But it didn't matter what job title you had at the organization. Everybody was out there, right? It wasn't just us interns. It was ushers. It was full-time staff. It was people in the ticket office. It was the team president was out there all the time. Literally, the team president was out there cleaning up trash. And I think that was a great value as an organization that the Sea Dogs had, and one that I really admired when I was there. But it really reminds me of this concept that we're talking about of doing anything that is necessary to help your organization out.
Mm. Absolutely. And for me, it goes back to a biblical principle, right? And not to get religious or any way informed, but the Bible has a lot of really great bits of knowledge. Many hands make light work, right? in sports, especially in minor league sports, everyone has to come together to accomplish a goal, right?
Yeah.
And it takes many hands, takes a lot of people, right? But if everyone's willing to pick up a trash bag and go and do, well, wow, the things that you can do, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. All right, that's about all I had on that. Why don't we get to your sports quote of the
Yes,
week?
sir. So if the viewers don't already know, I coach not professional. I coached Premier Soccer for Seacoast United, and yesterday I had a couple games. I was up in Bedford, New Hampshire, about a 2-hour drive. It was a long day. Had a game at 10:30. Had a game at 3. So I didn't get home till around 7. But I was coaching and going into the second half of my first game. Coach Kieran McCormick walked by. He's the CMCC head coach. He's covering a game for me today. So Kieran, I know you're not listening to this, but thank you if you are. But I went out and I had 12 guys walk onto the field because one kid got confused because I said going back out the way we came, meaning the way we had just come out. And somebody assumed we went out the first half. But Kieran had this to say: "It's a great tactic to play with 12 players, Zach. Numbers up." And it's a hilarious quote. And it's a hilarious moment, right? Because it is funny. It's people making honest mistake and being human, but numbers up as a concept. Put yourself in a situation where you're able to handle the difficulty, right? Numbers up. When there's 2 guys on me, I want to have 3, right? Because I always have the advantage. Find yourself the advantage. How can you create that advantage for you? How can you?
That is an interesting turnaround off of that.
This is a really interesting turnaround. I know, right? How can you say I have 2 problems, but I have 3 ways to solve it? Oh, okay, balloons. They liked that.
Yeah, I get. How do you do that?
I have
this
no
is like
idea.
the 6th time you've done that.
The Apple computers love me. All right, I just don't know.
I guess so. I haven't been able to do that.
I'll be like FaceTiming somebody, and the little thumbs up comes up where I just make a facial expression.
Like
I don't know.
how? I don't get it because you just basically put your hand in front of your computer and it like goes up for you, and when I do something, it doesn't do anything for me.
Mine's on cue. It just hey they like 3v2s. They like 3v2s. We like 3v2s in this house.
They liked your take.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the people at Apple are listening through the cameras right now, and they're like agreeing with you.
They definitely are. My FBI agents like to work that.
Oh my god! All right, man. I honestly don't think I could have added anything more perfect than what you had off of that. I don't think I could have taken anything out of that other than that. Like, what a hilarious situation for coaching. That's awesome. And I'm glad you are getting to do some awesome coaching work. And are you doing any of that in Florida or just social work for AC?
Just social work for ACC right now.
Okay.
Just social work.
Yeah.
Me coaching on the sideline. They've got plenty of guys to do that. I coach.
Yeah, right.
I might coach for them in the summer if I'm ever back in Connecticut. That's something that'll be on the table. But
yeah,
I'm doing coaching seminars when I'm down there. That'll be fun, but nothing where I'm on the sideline running the game. Not my job. They want a camera in my hands. They want a phone in my hands. They want me typing up like a crazy man.
Right.
Which I will be doing.
What do you use to edit for socials? By the way, do you use CapCut or Adobe?
Most of the graphics I create, I use Canva.
Okay.
I simply just edit it in my I take the video, I edit it in my camera app, and I put it in Canva. I can input all the little things that I want on it.
Okay. You don't use CapCut?
I didn't like it.
Really?
I didn't like it.
Did you do it on your phone?
Yeah.
And
That's
you didn't.
Probably why.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I usually do it on my phone.
On my phone because I'm at the field.
Okay. Yeah.
So Canva
it's super user friendly. I feel like
on the phone, CapCut wasn't user. At least I couldn't figure it out because I already spent 3 months really learning and getting really good at Canva.
Okay. Yeah.
So I love Canva as a tool.
I can show you if you want how to use CapCut.
I'm trying to work in Photoshop a bit too, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's what I used to make all my videos like for. Oh, that was something I forgot to mention. I knew I meant to mention this at the beginning of the show. Since the last time we recorded just the 2 of us, I made a media account, and I totally didn't shout that out on last episode because we had a guest on. So if you guys want to check out all the media work that I've been doing for St. Joe's, go look at paulhine.media on Instagram. I like to think I've been doing a decent job. I know I've been getting better, for sure. I think CapCut has allowed me to discover some different features, and I've gotten way better at like tracking ball movement and that type of thing. I've done a lot of work for the basketball teams whose seasons are now over, and then I've done lacrosse game or two. So I think
The
my
last one
videos have been getting better and better. You think the lacrosse videos were
I thought
good?
the lacrosse video was tough.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was pretty good. I was using a tripod for like the first time. Really, I didn't use that for basketball because there wasn't like a ton of room in the gym, and I wanted to be able to move around.
Yeah.
But lacrosse, it was much easier to just get like a pan angle. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Just to
absolutely.
swing the camera around.
God bless.
Sorry, I'm dealing with a sickness that has not gone away. So we've been dealing with it, and if my voice sounds different to anybody, that's why. But yeah, I've really been enjoying the work that I've been doing for the athletic department. And CapCut's been super helpful. I've mostly done it on my phone, not on my computer. But yeah, I can totally teach you how to use it if you want.
Oh yeah. We can
Um,
give it a go. We'll give it a go.
I've tried Premiere Pro, and I have a base knowledge of how to use it, but I don't find it quite as user friendly as CapCut.
Adobe stuff is hard. It's
It's
really aggressive.
it's just hard to learn, but I'm sure once I learn it, it'll be super useful. The video that I made of you swimming was the only one that I've done on Premiere Pro. And I thought that came out okay. But there were definitely some things I would change and do better next time now that I've had more experience. That was like my second or third ever video. So like I could totally have remade that for you way better now. Um, if you want me to. If you want me
Bang
to.
it, Paul.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, all that to say, go check out my media account. I'm a shameless plug for myself. It's okay. But also go check out our social media accounts. I think we've had some pretty good stuff from our last interview up on there recently. Although I'm having trouble posting on our Instagram. I don't know why, but I can't do it on my computer for some reason. It like won't load. So I've been trying to figure out how to get files from my computer and my phone and then post it from there. So it's a work in progress, as always, right? All right. I think we've done enough for today. So I'm gonna let you go, fly down to Tampa, have a great time, and we'll be back when you get back. I don't want to force you to work while you're down there when you're already working.
Plenty.
Yeah, exactly. So
Stay up to date with all the USL Academy Cup stuff that I'm
absolutely.
doing via the AC Connecticut Instagram at AC Connecticut. On Instagram, we're also on Twitter, same tag. And if you're looking to follow me for some coaching stuff, follow me at Coach Creeks on Instagram. So, yeah, shameless
Absolutely.
plugs. And there we go.
That's a perfect way to end it. All right. Go follow us on social media. Fireworks included. All right. All right. Have a good week, guys.